Welcome to Pep Talk with Wendy Summers. This hour is presented by Mainstay Financial and Annalee Leonard, who's responsible for the information and opinions expressed during the show.
Hi, this is Financial Advisor of the Year, Jim Brogan of Knoxville, Tennessee. You're listening to Winning with my good friend and colleague, Annalee Leonard.
You're listening to Winning with Annalee. Annalee is a retirement and estate planner, a member of the Ed Slott Master Elite IRA Advisor Group, as well as a sought-after speaker on such topics as income planning, 401k rollovers, and advanced IRA reduction strategies. When not working in her private practice, Annalee joins with other certified senior advisors to promote top-quality services to mature adults in the Pensacola area. Her goal is to help you prepare for and live comfortably in retirement. You can reach her office at 437-3127 or online at mainstaypensacola.com or call her now at 437-1620 on Winning with Annalee.
That's the truth.
Good morning, Miss Wendy.
Good morning to you, beautiful friend.
Oh gosh, I tell you what, I thought we lived in Florida.
Right?
I went to the LPGA in Orlando this weekend.
I'd like to know how that went.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Saturday was very nice. Had on a little long sleeve shirt, little turtleneck. Sunday, it was freezing. People were leaving like crazy because it was so cold. It was such a shame. But
That
glad
is a
to
shame.
be here today. Glad to see you. And I'm your host, Annalee Leonard, president of Mainstay Financial Group, right on the corners of Antes and Perry, where our job is to keep you on course, to make sure you don't want to run out of money before you run out of life. That has become the biggest fear in today's world, and rightly so. Two reasons. We're living longer, and guess what? Everything costs more than it used to.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think inflation's going to stop. I think it's here to stay. So it's part of what you have to, and here's my favorite word that Wendy knows I have to use, part of what you have to plan for in your lifetime. You got to have a plan, people. If you don't have one or you're not satisfied with the one you've got, come and give us a visit at Mainstay Financial. We'd love to talk to you. Have a great guest today. I'm probably one of the most privileged people in the world because I get to speak to some of the brightest minds that are out there and have them come in as guests so that they can share their knowledge with you. But the gentleman we have with us today, Professor Laurence Kotlikoff, I have got to tell you, I am just in total amazement at this gentleman's knowledge, the things he has accomplished, and the givingness of his spirit. He wants to share what he knows with everyone. He's professor at Boston University, professor of economics there. He's a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Science, a fellow of the Ecometric Society. I mean, and in his spare time, he just sits around and eats chocolate. Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't think he has any spare time, to tell you the truth. But the reason we got in touch with Dr. Kotlikoff is because he wrote a wonderful book called Get What's Yours. And guess what it's about, people? Social Security. And how often do you hear me talk about that and have a plan? Oh, there's that word again. Have a plan about when you're going to take this. Now, this is what we're going to talk about today, and this is from a gentleman, now let's all remember this, a professor of economics. This man knows numbers. So pay attention to what he has to say, okay? Well, Dr. Laurence, welcome to Winning with Annalee.
Oh, well, great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me.
And I bet it's colder in Boston than it is here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 17 degrees and chilly, no question.
Yeah. That's more than chilly, Doctor. I hate to tell you, that's like cruel to little animals and people. But let's talk about this wonderful book that you wrote. You have software out, and you've got all kind of good things. Get What Is Yours, and you revised and updated this, which I think is very exciting, to reflect the changes that were made in the laws August 29th of 2016. And, what frightens me is a lot of people aren't even aware of the fact that there were changes made.
Yeah, there was a major change in the legislation. Actually, it was around November 2015, and I learned about it from somebody pretty high up in Social Security, and immediately read the draft legislation and realized that people's checks were going to be some people's checks were going to be cut starting in 6 months.
Yes.
And the next morning, so I got this draft bill Sunday afternoon. Monday morning, I put up an op-ed on Forbes, and within a few hours, there were amendments to the law. So there have been, roughly about 10 million people that were grandfathered under the old law. And I think it was, I was told by a top person in Social Security, one of the top people, that the book that we'd written, Get What's Yours, had actually led to the new legislation because they were concerned that we were telling people how to get too much benefits from the system, and that then that my op-ed had actually led to the amendments. So,
yeah, and, you and I are in positions where we get information. I was teaching a class in Alabama the night I'm getting ready for the class to come in. And that night was the night I was teaching Social Security. And I get the email that's about as long as I am that says, oh, guess what? The laws are changing. Well, of course, I barely have time to read it, and the class is coming in, so I had to say to them, all right, listen, what I am teaching you today is the law today. It may not be in 3 weeks from now. I will find out everything I can find out next week. I'll fill you in. But that was how quickly it changed. And I taught people the changes, had them going to Social Security, those who needed to make moves at that point. And they were literally told that no changes were coming, that it was all an internet rumor, which was really scary.
Yeah. The communication between the administration and Social Security and Social Security and its staff, it's just terrible. Nobody knows what's going on except for a few people at the top. And anyway, they took really a hatchet to many of the provisions of Social Security and were helping poor people under the presumption, misleading information that these were boondoggles for the rich, but the rich weren't using them. I'm just talking about the file and suspend provisions. And you can still file and suspend, but you can't let other people get benefits off of your record while your own record is in suspension. So it used to be that a husband, for example, who's older could suspend his benefit and let a younger spouse, or maybe they're the same age. A husband who's 66 could suspend their retirement benefit, and then the spouse could collect a spousal benefit, and then they could both take their benefits at age 70 at the highest possible value. And for poor people, this made a lot of difference. It meant a lot more money.
Yes.
But anyway, that's water over the bridge at this point. We have to help people with the system as it is now.
And I think we need to, at this point, too, talk about the people that are still grandfathered in until 2020. If they were 62 before January of 16, wasn't it? They had 4 years.
If they were 62 as of January 1st, 2016, then they're grandfathered to do certain things. So what they could do, for example, let me suppose that we've got a 65-year-old husband or higher earning spouse and a 66-year-old low earning spouse, as an example. Well, the 65-year-old high earning spouse could even take it the other way around. Suppose you got a 65-year-old low earning spouse, and maybe that's the husband. The husband's a low earner. He's 65. The wife's 66. What the husband can do is file right away for a reduced retirement benefit, and then the wife, who's can file right away just for her spousal benefit and not have to take her retirement benefit. She can then get a free spousal benefit for 4 years, and then when she's 70, she can start taking her retirement benefit, which will be about 66% higher, about 32% higher than her full retirement benefit, or she could take it at 66. And then the husband, when he's 69 and she's 70, she's taking her own benefit, he could then suspend his retirement benefit and start it up again 8% higher at 70. That's just one example of how these grandfathered people can still get a free spousal benefit if they play their cards right.
If they
at
play
least
their
one free
cards
spousal
right.
benefit for the couple if they're the right ages and they met the grandfathering provision.
Yeah, and they've got to do that before 2020, and they have to be within that stage of where they were grandfathered. So that ruling is not for everyone out there. We want to be clear on that so that everybody doesn't run down to Social Security office and think you can do that. That was part of the changes. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Winning with Anna Lee, and I have as my guest today Professor Laurence Kotlikoff, who wrote a book called Get What's Yours about Social Security. Now, remember, this show is for you, so if you want to call us, give us a holler at 437-1620. You can call or text. We'd love to hear from you and see what your questions are. So I know you and I kind of talked about this before, and I think we need to bring this up very clearly today, that most people make huge mistakes on when to claim their Social Security. I find a lot of people, it's like the dartboard. They throw the dart, and wherever it lands, it's like, okay, I'm going to take it then. Or the neighbor next door says, oh, yeah, you got to go hurry up and claim this because you'll have more in the long run. Let's talk about that a little bit, if we could, Doctor, as to how
Sure.
people really, you need to plan this as to when it comes in so you get your maximum benefit.
Yeah. So, frankly, I don't want to sound too snobby here, but you don't want to talk to your neighbor. You don't want to talk to your spouse. You don't want to talk to your friends. You don't want to talk to your employer. You don't want to talk to Social Security about what to do. You want to become informed yourself, use the right software, and the right software. We have software in our company called Maximize My Social Security that helps people figure out exactly what to do. But the big concern is that people take the benefit too early because they think that, gee, if I die, I will not have taken my Social Security, and that will have I'll really feel badly when I'm in heaven that I didn't take my Social Security, and consequently I'll have a miserable time in heaven. But of course, we know that in heaven it's heaven, and you don't have to worry about.
Worry.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything in heaven. You also don't have to pay any bills. So the real risk is not losing your Social Security money from not having taken it. The real risk is living to 100 and living on cat food because you've had to pay for yourself for 40 years, and you expected to pay for yourself for 20 years. So you want to wait to take, in general, and this is what the software helps you see, the magnitude of the numbers involved here. For most people, I'm talking about maybe 70% of the people, waiting to take your Social Security benefit till you're 70 is going to be the optimal thing to do in terms of your lifetime benefits. Now, if you have a terminal illness, it could be a different story. If you were in the situation that your grandfather, I just told you an example where you want the younger spouse to take their retirement benefit early, not wait till 70, and then they can still suspend it potentially and then restart it with a little bit higher number. But apart from those particular kinds of cases, there's also cases where you want to take a retirement benefit early in order to give a disabled child a Social Security benefit, and a younger spouse who's watching that child, what's called a child in care spousal benefit. There are about 11 different Social Security benefits that one needs to be aware of, actually 12. There's even a benefit if you're taking care of an older parent and you drop dead. The older parent can get a benefit off of your record if you're the if you're actually been taking that parent as a deduction on your record. So on your tax return. So yeah, this is very complicated, and the Social Security is giving systematically bad advice. Even their Auditor General did a study recently where they talked about the fact that millions of widows have been told to do things or more or less been forced to do things with respect to filing for particular benefits that, A, they never got, and B, it deprived them of tens of thousands of dollars over the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go into that in detail, explain exactly how that works, but that is an absolute sin. The Social Security people are not well paid, they're not well trained, they're overworked, and they have this attitude that they know everything. Frankly, a lot of them are extremely arrogant. I've had fights over the phone where I called up on behalf of a client to talk to somebody at Social Security. They start screaming at me for half an hour, and I said, well, fine, I know you're kind of busy. I'll just write up what you said. Let me make sure I get your name right. I'm just going to write up what you said. I think it's entirely wrong. But I'll write it up in 10 minutes in Forbes, put it in a column with your name on it. Let me make sure I know the name of your local office. Well, 10 minutes later, they call up and apologize.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what they're talking about, and I had to go check, and they had it wrong.
Yes.
So you cannot trust Social Security at all. And because, I'm not saying they're not well-meaning, as a vast majority of people are there. They're trying their best, but they're just not. The system is about the most complicated set of rules that humankind has ever produced. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rules that are all interconnected. So you have to have really advanced software. First of all, general knowledge, and that's where a book like Get What Yours comes into play, but then also specific software that can take your particular case with your spouse's case, the demographics, any information about your children that's relevant, and your how long you expect to live at max, your maximum age of life. You have to focus on the maximum extent to which you could live, not your expected age of death, because you're not going to die on time. So I could expect to die in 20 years. That might be what the actual tables tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I live to 100, I'm going to have to suffer the consequences. And having a much bigger check to open every month is like insurance. So we have to look at Social Security is like long lifespan insurance to a large extent, and how long you wait is really determining how much lifespan insurance you're buying. So if you wait longer, you're buying more of that insurance, and you have to, when you buy insurance, think about the catastrophic case, which is the worst case is you live to your maximum age of life in terms of your finances. Just like the worst case with your car is you're going to total it, or the worst case with your health insurance is you're going to get cancer and be very expensive. So you don't want to kind of insure for the averages. Well, on average, my house won't burn down, so I won't buy insurance. On average, I won't total my car. I won't buy car insurance. We don't do it that way, right?
No.
We buy the maximum coverage, catastrophic coverage. Well, here the catastrophe is living to 100. That's the catastrophe, and we're not used to thinking about that because we think that's great. We don't want to die, right?
Well,
but
and I
financially
think too,
speaking,
Doctor,
living is catastrophic.
We need to bring in there too that if you have a spouse and you're the higher wage earner, there's a large possibility that if you take too soon and you pass away, but the spouse lives to be 100. You just cheated your spouse very badly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfectly important. That's incredibly important because there's a widow's benefit, and your widow will, or widower, if you're the higher earning spouse and your husband is the lower earning spouse, they'll be able to collect potentially what's called an excess widower or widower's benefit, which could be significant. And yeah, if you take your benefit before 70, it will be a smaller number. I'll just give you one example that kind of highlights what you're referencing here. I met a great doctor in Boston at a dinner party who I never met. And somehow in the course of the conversation, he tells me 68, that he's got pancreatic cancer. Marvelous guy. His wife's right there. Tells me this. He's, as upbeat as you could possibly be. And he said, and then somehow the subject of Social Security came up. And he said, well, he'd gone over Social Security about 2 months ago, and they all said he should take his benefit immediately, which he did. I said, does your wife have much of an earnings history? He said, no. I said, they told you the wrong thing.
Right.
Well, he says, I'm going to die in 2 years. I've got pancreatic cancer. I said, well, yeah, but your wife is not going to die in 2 years. She's going to be alive. So what you want to do is go back, withdraw your benefit application, wait till 70. Even if you pass away, her benefit will be 16% higher for the rest of her life.
Yes.
So, and he did that. I don't know what I can. We weren't close friends or anything, so I didn't keep track of how he did. Hopefully, he survived. But right there, they told him it seemed quite obvious that he should take his money immediately. Why not? He's about to die. But they ignored completely the fact that he had a wife and the interaction with the widow's benefit.
And that's one of the things we always talk to clients about, and I think that's where people get wrong information. They look at Social Security as its own entity, that it's like a little glass of water that's sitting over there, and that water is in that glass, and all it affects is that glass. However, you have to think about the rest of your financial world, the people you're responsible for, everything that covers your whole financial horizon before you can make a decision. And people get responses that are not based upon that. It's and like you said, I know the people at Social Security office work very hard. They do the best they can, but they are not trained sufficiently. They're not kept up with what's going on. And they'll make a recommendation based on just the one thing on Social Security. They don't think about the rest of the story. And you have to.
It's a team decision here. It's a joint decision, and it's very complicated. What the husband can do depends on what the wife does, and what the wife does affects what the husband can do. Mm-hmm. So it's very interconnected. Even under the new law, it's going to be that way into the future. So, and whether the kids can collect benefits on, if you have a young kid or a disabled child, regardless of the disabled child's age, their ability to collect depends on your decision to collect your own retirement benefit. So, and then you've got, you could have been married several times in the past and qualify for benefits from the widow's benefit from a former spouse.
From a former spouse. Let's hold on to that thought, because when we come back from the news, I'm going to want to talk more about divorcee benefits and the spousal benefits. But before we go, would you tell everybody again real quickly about your software and how they can get that? And I do want to mention the fact that you don't make anything on that software. You've got it out there for information to help people. So would you quickly, we got about a minute, tell them about that again.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called there's two programs I want to tell people. It's MaximizeMySocialSecurity.com, MaximizeMySocialSecurity.com. The other is called Maxify.com, Maxify.com, Maxify.com. And the Social Security tool is the Maximize My Social Security program, but the other tool, Maxify.com, does Social Security optimization, figures everything out about Social Security, but it also, in addition, helps you figure out safe ways to raise your living standard in other dimensions, like when to take your retirement accounts, to lower your taxes, things like that, and gives you a full lifetime plan. So it's really I think the top financial planning tool in the country. And yeah, I've been working essentially for free for my company for 25 years. I'm thrilled to help people. I'm thrilled to employ about 10 American software engineers and customer support people and marketers. So we're a small company. We don't take any ads. We don't have any conflict of interest. We don't recommend any financial advisors. So we stay completely out of any conflicts of interest.
And that's marvelous.
Good advice. Yeah.
And your software is so good that basically I'm adding it to my arsenal of tools that I use when I talk to clients.
Great.
So,
and it's cheap. It's only, the Social Security tool is $40, and the Maxify tool, Maxifi.com, that's $99. If you can't make...
Okay, we're going to go to the news now, and when we come back, we'll pick up where we left off. Thank you, sir.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Down.
Down, up, down.
Because all she does is win.
Well, she
Win.
tries, doggone. She tries to win, but my passion in life is to make my clients winners. That's the thing, because one of the things I found out a long time ago, Wendy, if you concentrate on making other people win, you win. Mm-hmm. It never fails. It never, ever fails. If you're always out there helping, you're looking for the best for somebody else, inevitably you are going to come out better. And that's why I invite the guests that I invite to bring in to teach you things so you're not hearing them just from Anna Lee. You know that there's a good, solid, educational, factual background to the things that we bring to you. So that's why today we're talking with Dr. Laurence Kotlikoff, and he's a professor of economics in Boston and has written a book along with a couple of other people titled Get What's Yours. It's the secret of maxing out your Social Security. And this is the gentleman. If you've got a question, please call us 437-1620 or text us. Wendy gets all excited when she gets a text. It keeps her happy. So text her, make her smile. She's got such a pretty smile, so just give her a text, okay?
I like it when people are engaged and they have questions.
When they have questions, you do. I do, too. I love when we get the questions. So let's go back, Dr. Kotlikoff, to what we were talking about before, that, there are so many formulas to Social Security. We were talking about the divorcee benefits, the widow's benefits, the widow benefit even for a divorcee, that people a lot of them don't even know they exist or know how to figure out where they're going to maximize the most in what they receive.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't know about these benefits. There are, as I said, 12 benefits, separate, distinct benefits, and most people know maybe about the retirement benefit, but not about the other 11, where they figured if they got divorced, maybe they're not owed anything, or they, and a lot of people, about half the marriages end in divorce in this country. So the deal with divorce is you have to be married 10 years, which is, 40 quarters, like 4 quarters a year of coverage. And a lot of people get divorced maybe after 9 years, which is crazy. They should just wait to get divorced until the 10th year, because they may be giving up significant benefits from getting divorced. And particularly the widow's benefit, if you have two working spouses earning similar amounts, then there's not that much in the way of divorcee spousal benefits, which are available, but they have to really, you have to have one spouse who's earned a lot more than the other, and that the second spouse has to have earned relatively little, maybe have had a pretty spotty earnings record, not because they were, lazy, but they were taking care of their kids, they were at home doing productive things in different ways, but they just weren't earning money, contributing to Social Security during that period. So so you want to make sure, first of all, you don't get divorced too early.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You have to wait 5 years.
Let me tell you a funny story about that. I had a client come in one day, and she says, I am divorcing that blankety blank blank blank, and she went on and on and on. And I said, how long have y'all been married? And she said, 9 years and 10 months. And I said, listen to me. I don't care if you come live with me, if you go to the Bahamas. I don't care what you do. You will not divorce him for another 2 months. Do you understand me? Because he was big wage earner and she was not. And it was like, she says, oh, okay, I'm going to go home and pack my suitcase. And it's like, yeah, do whatever, but don't divorce him right now. People just don't think.
Yeah, that would have been trouble, because he could die, at 65, and maybe she's 10 years younger, let's just suppose. And so when she reaches 60, she can start collecting a widow's benefit, that may not be the optimal age to start collecting it. That's also another tricky question about when to take your widow benefits first, whether to take your widow's benefit first or your retirement benefit first. But do not want to take them at the same time, because one will kill the other benefit.
Yes.
So, but absolutely wait till, even if you're married just 3 years and then you get separated, Social Security doesn't care if you're separated for 7 years and then you get divorced. It'll still treat you as if you're divorced. So, it's a lot of these rules were put into place when, based on sexism. Men set these rules, and they said, well, gee, if somebody's going to divorce me, I'm going to make that person, I want to make sure that person will live with me for a long time before I give them any benefits from my record.
Or I'm going to make them miserable.
I'm not going to let them get benefits. If I die and they remarry, they can't get benefits unless they've remarried after age 60. So all this stuff, when you look at it, there's lots of tinges of sexism underlying it that it seems to me historically, but because this stuff was written in the 40s and, the 50s and 60s and 70s, these rules, and there were no women involved in writing any of these rules. So women, because they're lower earners, aren't being treated, I think, fairly by the system to a very large extent.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Wendy has a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ben.
And we got a text. I'm just making sure, because you said that the court or Social Security doesn't care if you have been married 3 years and then you separate, that they, for 7 years, so that equals 10 years. And you said that they still look at it as a divorce. But I think you meant to say they don't look at it as a divorce. As long as you're still married, you're still married. You don't have to live in the same house, correct?
Yeah, that's what I meant. They'll look at it if you make it to 10 years without formally legally getting divorced. They will view you as a divorcee. If you get divorced, let's say after 7 years, they will not look at you as a divorcee when it comes to collecting benefits. They'll say they'll treat you as if you were never married. So your interpretation is exactly right. I was just kind of coming at it from a less clear manner. But absolutely, you have to stay married. You don't have to live with somebody. You could be separated, but you have to be legally married for 10 years in order to have have both parties then be able to collect divorcee benefits.
Yeah. And, one of the great things, Wendy, now is there's so much software out there. And I tell people, before you go in and claim, come in, sit down, let's talk, and let's run all kind of different options. If you take it now, this is what will happen. If you take it later, this is what will happen. And especially if you have one spouse who is younger and maybe didn't have as high of an earning as the other. So many things you have to look at. I tell everybody, don't just stand there and take a dart and throw it at the board and say, oh, okay, this is when I'm going to take my Social Security. There's so many options and so many different things that influence how much money you will have in your pocket by the time you reach end of life. So don't just take this half-heartedly. Don't just go by what somebody sitting behind the desk at the Social Security office says. You've got some people there that are very, very well informed, believe me, extremely well informed. You have others there that they don't understand or know all of the rules. And it's like the kid that you say, all right, do you want to take half of your allowance and put it in the piggy bank? Because if you do that, in 2 months, we're going to be able to get whatever it is that you want. Or do you want to take it all and spend it today? And that's too often what I see is people think, oh, if I take this today, I'm going to wind up with more money. There's software galore out there that we can run for you that's going to show you, no, you're not. You just won't. It doesn't happen that way. So it's a huge step when you take a Social Security benefit. So don't take it lightly. Think about it, run your numbers, see what it's going to do for you later in life. And widows, divorcees, you've got particular rules out there that are just for you. And you need to know and understand those rules. I've been like you, out there now, Dr. Kotlikoff. I've been amazed by Social Security for years, and the formulas and the choices, and I mean, it's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable what's out there.
Yeah, just to be clear, there's 2,728 rules in the Social Security handbook. And
how many?
2,728 rules in the handbook. And then there's something called the Program Operating Manual System that literally has hundreds of thousands of rules about those rules. So, we're talking about essentially a million rules that there are exceptions to exceptions to exceptions. And so when you go to Social Security, you could have somebody who sounds the most persuasive in the world. They know for sure. They've been working there for 30 years. They've got it wrong.
Yeah.
Basically, the more they say they know it for sure, the more likely it is they've got it wrong.
Well, I still look everything up. I think we have a question from a caller for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we sure do, and we're going to talk to Caroline in Pensacola. Caroline, welcome to the show.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I was trying to find out, what do I do? I'll be 65 in August. God bless me, little kid. And I was trying to see, do I apply for Social Security? I get SSI now, disability, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But my question was, what do I do about regular Social Security?
Okay, so you're currently getting Social Security disability benefit or Social Security supplemental insurance?
Yes, sir. I had got hurt, so I qualified for.
So you are disabled, right? You are getting a disability benefit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you've already, in effect, taken your full retirement benefit because the disability benefit is effectively your full retirement benefit. When you reach 66 at full retirement age, it'll just change names from disability benefit to full retirement benefit. So you really have just one option. You have one option at 66, which is, and I don't know if you can swing this financially, but what you could do is suspend your benefit at 66 and then wait till 70 to take, or wait a few years anyway to take a higher benefit. If you wait until 70, you'll get about a 32% higher benefit adjusted for inflation. So your check would be basically a third larger for the rest of your life if you could somehow swing getting by without your Social Security check between 66 and 70. And I know that's not, if you're disabled, it's not like you can go back to work. But if there's something, if you had a relative who could take you in or lend you some money, and then you pay them back with your higher check later on, that would make some sense to consider as an option.
So in other words, just keep just go with what I'm doing right now. I don't need to.
Yeah, there's nothing easy to do right now. I mean, at 66, when you hit full retirement age, you have one decision to make. Should I suspend my retirement benefit, or can I suspend it financially? And if you had, let's say, a pot of money, or somebody passed away, you got an inheritance, and you could somehow find your way to get by to 70, then I would suspend and restart, unless you felt your maximum age of life was pretty short. You had some physical problem that was maybe connected with a disability that was really saying, well, I absolutely can't make it beyond age 75. I'm just not going to live that long, period.
Okay.
I'm not talking about life expectancy here. I'm talking about the absolute maximum to which you could live. That's what we really care about.
Right.
Because that's the catastrophic
I
case.
think we all have to run individual numbers when it comes down to different things. And if you want to call my office, I'll run some numbers for you and help you if I can. But most of the time, people who have been on disability have to go straight on the other because there is no other income coming in. So we can talk about that if you want to call my office. I think we've got a text message, too, that has come in.
Okay.
What do we have on this one?
Okay, so it's so sweet. It's from Barbara. She says, hello and love you girls. I'm a December 53 model. I went to the Social Security office last week to file for retirement benefits. I was told that my benefits would be $949 now versus $1,258 if I wait until December of 2019. That's a huge difference.
Yep.
Why?
Because she's 66 now?
Well, 53.
53?
She was born in 53.
Oh, she was born in 53. That's a difference. Okay.
Let's see.
So she's like 65 now,
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yes.
So maybe she's still working and earning money, and she's going to be hit by the earnings test. And the benefit is going to be reduced because of that. And then when she hits full retirement age, the earnings test goes away. Well, actually, when she hits her 66th birthday, when she reaches full retirement age, which is not exactly the point at which you reach 66 for younger people, it's moving up to age 67. But anyway, apart from that, the earnings test does end at full retirement age entirely. On that day, it just is gone, thank God. And her benefit will actually be raised due to any earnings that she lost due to the earnings test. So a lot of people don't realize that there's something called an adjustment of the reduction factor. It's technical language for the fact that they undo the penalty that they hit you with. So the benefit that you particularly lost from the earnings test, they will reimburse you in the form of a higher monthly benefit. So again, I think going to see Anna Lee and running hopefully our software for her would show her. But that's the only thing I can see why her benefit would be so much different before full retirement age and after.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't realize. If you have one of those wonderful things called a JOB, and you make too much money, they actually take some of the Social Security back. So I always tell everybody, if you can wait, the longer you can wait, 9 times out of 10, the better off you're going to be. So if you want to come in, give the office a call, 437-3127, set up an appointment, and we'll run numbers, and let's look at, for you, what would be the optimal time for you to go ahead and take what's there. And I think that's the thing each one of us has to realize. You have to run numbers. You cannot just go by, I went down to Social Security and they said, I went to Social Security and somebody there said, oh yeah, go ahead and claim now because you're going to be able to do run the numbers. Don't go just by what someone says. Run your numbers. See where you are. One of the things I highly advise clients to do now is use some of that highly taxable income now while we have much bigger standard deductions. Let that Social Security grow to a higher number, because every year you wait, especially between that full retirement age and the age of 70, every year you wait, that benefit is increasing. It's going up. And we've seen it now. Our longevity span has increased greatly. So you cannot look at any of this just for today. You have to look at it as the next 10 years, the next 15 years, the next 20 years. Where are you going to be? And
that's where, just to add to that, that's where the Maxify, MAXIFI.com tool that you can use with your clients comes in, because I ran a case of a guy who was going to take his Social Security benefit at full retirement age and wait till 70 to take his 401k money. And I said, well, wait a second, let me run you through the program. Turned out I was able to, by just reversing those two decisions, I was able to raise his living standard 6% for the rest of his life.
I mean,
so
that's astronomical. That's big. That's big. You know, if you work for somebody and they came in and said, oh, I'm going to give you a 6% raise if you work with me one more year, you're going to work with them. I mean, come on, you know. It's where we are, and I want to say thank you so very, very much to Dr. Kotlikoff for taking time to be with us. He has a book, Get What's Yours. Receive the Secrets of Maxing Out Your Social Security. You might want to get that. It will help you a lot. I will have his software, Dr. Kotlikoff software, in my office. We'll be able to run numbers for you. You know, and we've been helping our clients with Social Security planning for years. So, Doctor, thank you so much for your time
really,
today.
anytime. It's a great pleasure. And there's plenty of things to talk about, you know, in terms of even beyond Social Security, lifetime planning and how to deal with 401ks and
everything.
All kinds of things, housing, downsizing. So anytime you'd like me to come on, I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Take care.
I meet you. Thank you.
I want to remind you that on the 24th and 31st of this month, I will be teaching in Fairhope. Well, actually, not in Fairhope. This one is Fairhope. I'm sorry. It's the Financial Survival for Retirement class from Coastal Alabama Community College, 24th and 31st. That will be in Fairhope. Call the college, 251-990-0445 to get registered. On the 11th of February, Joan is going to be doing Medicare Made Easy at Coastal Alabama in Fairhope. That's going to be on the 11th. Call the same number to get registered. On the 13th, I will be at Providence. Then on the 19th at Sacred Heart doing retirement income planning mistakes to avoid. That's kind of a biggie, okay? You can call each of the hospitals to get registered, 850-416-1620. Call me. If you're at a stage where you've got to make some decisions, you're getting close to retirement, you're not sure about Social Security, you don't know about the 401k, the 403b, what to do with them, call me. That's what I'm here for. Okay, 437-3127. One of our ladies in the office will be glad to set up a time where we can sit and talk and come up with a plan that suits you where you are. Don't go for the cookie cutter, okay? It's got to be something that works for you and works for the generations to come. I can teach you a lot of ways to take that big 401k, IRA, whatever it is, and pass that on to the generations after you in a tax-efficient manner. And it'll last them a lifetime. How sweet is that?
Pretty sweet.
Go out. Remember, it truly, truly is a wonderful world. Say please, say thank you, and in traffic, the person come in front of you. Don't cuss them out. Just let them come in front of you and smile at them and wave, okay? Your world will be much better.
Aww.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna-Lee. You're the sweetest.
Thank you, Wendy.
And we'll see you Tuesday. And everybody, we will see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.